I've been shot. These criminals broke into my house, ski masks, guns. They shot my wife. They shot me in the chest. Help, send police, send an ambulance. The cops come. They think he's the victim. One smart detective says, looks in his cache, finds out that 2 months before the shooting, he had Googled trauma cases, gunshot, right chest. Mr. Barber is now on death row in Florida. Honestly, you can Google it. Now, again, you've got to really look at the totality of what Google does. And if you do, you will understand pretty quickly they want to suck out your brain and put it in a database. And among their recent activities have been to buy DoubleClick, which is basically every damn thing you do on the net. FeedBurner. What tells more about you than your RSS feeds? Honestly. If you have an RSS feed to a Nigerian newspaper, you're probably from Nigeria. If you have an RSS feed to a gay website, you're probably gay. If you have an RSS feed to the Jerusalem Post, you're interested in Israel. I said that because my buddy from the Jerusalem Post is here. FeedBurner, perfect example. Google bought it. If you use Google Docs, if you go onto Google and you use them to compose your business documents and your personal letters and what have you, I mean, what else is left? Now, just in terms of creepiness, two things I want to mention. Google Health and 23andMe. Google Health, people are going to start using Google as the repository of your electronic medical records. That's pretty much it, guys. And 23andMe is mapping everyone's genome that comes in and says, I want it done privately. It's owned by Sergey Brin's wife and funded by Google. Google Friend Connect, everybody you know. Google Profile. Just in case Google hasn't been able to build the most detailed, J. Edgar Hoover wet dream profile about you, they give you the opportunity to just fill in the blanks for them. Google Health. Now, this is pretty much the last thing I'm going to say about Google, but I want to leave you with a sense of Google's attitude towards who owns the data about you. Their attitude is, once it's in their database, it's not yours anymore, it's theirs. And I got to tell you something, they're right. Once it's in their database, they own it. I want to give you some examples of how they've responded to complaints, pretty legitimate complaints. Street View, book scans and copyrights, YouTube, the lawsuit by Viacom, and misuse of trademarks. This is one of my favorite Google stories. A guy by the name of Kevin Bankston, who unluckily for Google worked for the EFF. Kevin Bankston says, hey, I want to take a look at Street View of my house. So he pulls it up, and it's a picture of him walking in front of his house. And he freaks out. And he calls Google. He says, taking a picture of my house is one thing, but that's me. Take it out of your database. And they essentially said, Mr. Bankston, bite me. Because he's from EFF, 8,000 lawyers parachuted into the situation. And they took down his photo. And because it was their bad luck at that point to have set a precedent, God bless the EFF, they now blur the faces of everybody in Street View. And yes, I checked. Hotel Pennsylvania also. But they had to have lawyers on their ass for months. Good example of their attitude. By the way, this is more for investigative seminars, but just in case you think Google does that, pretty much every tax assessor does this now also. This is a real case that I did where I was looking up a guy's house, the real property, and when I pulled up his house, not only did I get a picture of his house, but I saw there's no fence, the 2 cars, and that he has a big inquisitive dog, which for an investigator is a useful thing to know.